Today is March 26, 2021. Unless you're in Georgia, it's March 26, 1950, because that's what's going on in Georgia. And let's be very clear about this. The January 6th insurrection and the GOP Jim Crow laws in Georgia are about one thing: preserving white supremacy. This is about white power. And expect to hear that term coming up in the future by officials running for office. I mean, Congressman Paul Goza, a Republican in Congress, spoke at a white nationalist event at the end of February, got no pushback from the GOP. They are the white power party. They are team white. Everything they're about is keeping white power structure in place. The use of violence on January 6th should not surprise anyone who studied any history in our nation. When the white power structure is threatened, first it will use laws. If the laws don't work, it will result in using violence. It's happened time and time again. In fact, we had Professor Carol Anderson on my show earlier this week, professor at Emory University in Georgia, who went through it in great detail. So what you're seeing in Georgia is nothing new. And let's be blunt about a couple of things. First of all, if Joe Biden, John Ossoff, and Reverend Warnock did not win those elections in Georgia, they would not be doing this. Another reminder, after the election, a few weeks later, the current Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, wrote a long op-ed in the Washington Post where he laid out, in his writing, he wasn't interviewed, he wrote it. He said, the 2020 election, the voting system in Georgia has never been more secure or trustworthy. He went through how absentee ballots have two signature verifications, not once, twice, and how you get absentee ballots that you already need a form of ID, which is driver's license information on it. This whole new boutique of laws, if you want to call it, is what Jim Crow looks like in 2021. And that's not just my words. President Biden said it very much today again, calling it an atrocity and saying it's Jim Crow 21st century. And it is. And if you look at the provisions, some have gotten a lot of press. We'll go through more detail. I have Ari Berman on, who is the voting rights guy out there. He was on Rachel Maddow last night, did a great job. He's going to break it down for us. The provisions such as nobody can give free food or drink to people online is astounding to people. And I think people all have the sense that in areas where there's a high concentration of non-white voters, the lines are longer. Well, that's not just a hunch. It's been backed up by studies. We'll go through it a little bit on the show later today to make it clear. It's no game. This law was drafted with surgical precision. They know that in areas of higher black vote, there's longer lines because more densely populated areas. So they don't want them to have food or drink online because then they might stay and actually vote. We had things getting rid of the mobile voting machines, vans they have, such as in Fulton County, which is a county which is primarily people of color and Democrats. So they don't want to make it easier there. The list goes on, but one of the most stunning things, and something Ari Berman talked about last night on Rachel Maddow, and we'll discuss it again tonight, is that in the law, it's actually Donald Trump's dream come true. The legislature now is taking control away from the Secretary of State and from the State Board of Elections, investing it with themselves or the people they appoint, their hacks, their fellow co-conspirators in fascism, to essentially overturn an election in the future if they don't like the results. I know that sounds extreme, but that's exactly what they're laying the groundwork for. Doesn't mean that's definitely going to happen, but that's part of it. Already lawsuits have been filed, which is really important. It's great to see people, Mark Elias, working with various organizations like the New Georgia Voter Project in Georgia to sue. You know, the Senator Warnock made a great point last night after a state representative was arrested because she knocked on the door. Let's be blunt, because she was black, and they arrested her in Georgia. He made a great point, the senator, that if they think this is going to demoralize us, they're wrong. It's going to make us work even harder to get people registered and to the polls and to vote. And that's what we have to do. We're not going to let them try to make it like it's 1950s and the black community or communities of color are so marginalized and there's no Voting Rights Act. They don't know how to engage and they've not had success at the ballot box. This is 2021. As much as the Brian Kemp and the other Republicans wanted to be 1950, it's not. Those days are over. So one angle of this will be the lawsuits. We'll see if some of this can be struck down. The others are navigating the laws as they stand and making sure we can register and get people to vote. And third is having really strong legal teams in place when after the election and Republicans lose, the Republicans try to overturn the election and just award victory to Republicans, even though Democrats have won. I know that sounds extreme, But that's what Trump wanted, and that's why they amended the law. So keep that in mind. That's what the big part of the power grab by the GOP legislature is about. It's that knowing we're going to overcome all their barriers, at the end of the day, they're going to sit back and go, oh, you know what? We're going to give the electoral votes to the Republican. We're going to give the Senate seat to the Republican. We have to have a legal team in place for that immediately. In fact, in advance of it probably file a lawsuit. So we'll discuss that more on my show tonight. We have a great lineup. Again, Ari Berman, Richard Louie from MSNBC. He's got a great book out. Plus, it's What Just Happened, our weekly look back at the events of the week. We have fun. Joining us, Nagin Farsad, my good friend, and John Fugelsang from the John Fugelsang Show, my other good friend. So my show's live 6 to 9 p.m. on SiriusXM, Progress Channel. If you don't subscribe to SiriusXM and you want to hear these great guests tonight, go to the website. There's a free trial. Check it out. Listen to my show. Call into my show. Be a part of our family. We've got a lot of work to do. We're not going to let this white power movement crush us. We're going to bring an amazing coalition of people of color and white allies, and we're going to win the day because America is counting on us. If you want progress, stay active. Thanks for tuning in to Preview.